One thing that's interesting about writing now is that there are more tools available to help you write better. So if you struggle with writing, make sure at least you're using the tools that are available to you. Now, some of the tools can make your writing more correct. Grammarly would be a great example of a tool that can at least help you fix your punctuation and basic spelling mistakes, right? So Grammarly is great. But it's not telling you how to be a better writer, really. It's not going to help you improve your skill a lot, but it will help you to remove a lot of things that are going to look weird and unnatural, especially for professional emails, for example. So Grammarly is great for that. And there are a lot of interesting tools like autocompletes. So now I believe in Gmail, when you're writing an email, it will recommend the rest of the sentence based on how you started the sentence. So if you start a sentence, it will say, is this what you're trying to say? Because oddly enough, the thing that you probably want to say is something that's fairly common, and many people may want to say the same thing. So it can probably guess what you're about to write. And usually then if you just hit tab, it says exactly what you wanted to say. So that's a great tool as well. And those are just two examples of how technology is making writing easier. What about how to structure writing? What about getting ideas for writing? Is there any way to see an idea written out and then explore that structure as a way to improve things like writing syntax, as a way to get a feel for different writing structures, different sentence formats? I would say yes, absolutely. So we're going to look at a tool that I've been exploring a bit, and we're just gonna play around with it and see if maybe it could help give ideas for how to come up with sentence structures. Okay, and perhaps some other inspiration as well. Writer.me. This is spelled RYTR.me. Okay, and there are many AI writing tools out there. I picked one that had a free plan so that I could just test it out a bit. But let's see what we get. Okay. Now, first, you notice you can choose your language. So I'm going to choose English, of course, and then I can choose a tone. So I'm going to try to choose, we have here, what tone, how would we like it to feel? Humble, humorous, informative, joyful, passionate, thoughtful, urgent, worried, appreciative, assertive, awestruck. Okay, you know what? I'm going to choose awestruck. That's the tone I want. And this is for, let's see, I can do a section of a blog. I could do a job description. I could do a product description. This is some really interesting applications here. I think I'm going to do a blog section. So I'm just writing a section of a blog here. Okay. Now, section topic. Let's see. I want to write a blog about awkward elevator. Let's see, avoiding awkward elevator conversations and having small talk with strangers in any situation. Okay, it says for best results, provide maximum input. So it wants you to write more. So not just a simple title. Okay, now keywords, awkward, and let's see, elevator, small talk, starting conversations, and let's see what else we could say, breaking the ice, and humor, social anxiety, let's see, just use conversation, chat, and then weather, because we talk about the weather. All right, and let's do clarity level. I don't know what that means. Optimal, none, medium, high, max. What is this? Factual. I don't need it to be. Well, I'll play around with that later. So I want to do 2 variants. Okay, and then you click on write for me. Here we go. It's working. It's working. It's working. It's working. It's working. Let's see what we get. Ooh, it's really working hard. Whoa. Whoa. This is a lot of writing. We have 238 words, 2 different variations. Now let's read what it came up with. This is an AI writing tool writing about the information that I provided it based on that prompt, that topic, and the keywords in the tone that I want. Let's see if number 1, it feels awestruck. I don't know how you would write an article that's awestruck about awkward elevator conversations, but who knows? And then we'll talk about why it's worth giving this a try. But let's see what it came up with. I'm going to start here. In this section, we'll talk about how to end awkward elevator conversations and have small talk with strangers in any situation. We'll start with the basics. What is an elevator conversation? An elevator conversation is a brief discussion you have with someone you don't know when you're both taking an elevator, waiting for the same bus, or standing in line at the bank. Well, I guess you could say that's right. I mean, it's not exactly an elevator conversation if you're waiting for the bus, but it seemed to understand the main point that it's a stranger and it's kind of awkward. These are often considered awkward because they're so short and it's difficult to come up with a topic that will interest both of you. You might find yourself blurting out something like, "What's your favorite color?" or "What do you think of the weather?" to try to make small talk. The key to avoiding these awkward conversations is to be prepared for them beforehand so that when one does happen, and then it stops there. That's pretty good. That's really good. It's all correct. So what would I take from this if I wanted to write something myself? What I would do is look at some of the sentences that it came up with. Everything here is correct. In fact, I think it sounds really good. This is good writing. What I would do is look at some of the interesting sentence structures and try to make my own based on them. This is a great way to generate new types of sentences that you might not be familiar with. Look at this one. We'll start with the basics, and then there's a colon. What is an elevator conversation? So it's giving you an interesting way to introduce the main topic of the article, right? And then this one is a really long sentence. An elevator conversation is a brief discussion you have with someone you don't know when you're both taking an elevator, waiting for the same bus, or standing in line at the bank. So this is giving you a long sentence using a lot of commas to separate each piece. And even though it's long, it sounds pretty natural and doesn't feel tiring to read. So that's quite interesting. Let's look at what it came up with, the second one that it came up with. I'm going to space up here just so we can see it. We have all been in that situation where we're standing in a crowded elevator or walking out of the building and don't know what to say to people. The fear of having an awkward conversation can sometimes be so strong that it stops us from initiating any conversations at all. It is important for us to remember that not everyone is like us and may have different interests, values, and beliefs. In order to have a successful conversation, we first need to take the time to get more acquainted with our conversational partner by asking questions about their life and interests. That's actually good advice, I would say, before you just start saying, "Hey, I watched it," and start saying what you're interested in, to ask other people what they're interested in, to start a question or to use a question to start a conversation that's focused on getting information that you can then turn into a more natural conversation. So I actually really like that. That's pretty cool. This is great. Very interesting. Nice. So I'm not saying you should play with this. I'm not saying you have to, but I find it to be an interesting way to just see how I can turn ideas into something written, and something written quite well in different ways, because I believe that using language and learning language is all about play. So if you're playful and you use this kind of thing as a tool to help in your play with language, I think you're going to find a lot there. But you can also just use sentences from a book. If there's a book that you really enjoy reading, if you want to take sentences out from descriptions in the book, that's an interesting sentence structure. That could help me with my syntax. That's a good idea too. So there are a lot of different ways. Just one way to explore. And I don't know if I would use this tool as a way to write, for example, blogs about learning English, because it needs to be very, very specific. But I think there's a lot of potential in AI writing. It's pretty interesting. If you guys haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, check out my full English courses in the links in the description.